Hey guys, welcome back to another Way podcast. I'm your host Michelle. I'm joined with the wonderful
Jesse.
And today we have got an incredible guest, Josiah Queen.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Hey
Welcome
Josiah.
on.
Let's go. Come on.
First time in the UK?
Yes, first time in the UK, first
Really?
time in so many different countries. Yeah, never been here before, but I'm glad to be here. So yeah,
Thinking about moving. Is it right?
yeah, I know. The first day here, I asked one of my guys, I'm like, you want to move here?
Do you want to tell us a little bit of what you're doing in the UK? What
Yeah,
you
we're
doing, mate?
doing our first, tour out of the country at all. But God kind of put on my heart, maybe like a year ago, and I just really felt like I wanted to go out of the country and like explore. Yeah, but also I'm just like with this idea that there's Christians in other parts of the world rather than just America. You know what I mean?
True.
And so yeah, we're doing like 8 shows throughout the UK, Europe, like going up to Ireland after this, and the Netherlands, and all that. Ireland. Yeah, so like just out here we're on our it's like 8 shows. It's been a lot of fun so far. We did 1 show last night, and
Whee!
yeah, 1 in London tonight.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Are you a country rock star as well as a rock star?
A country rock star.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you jump into the crowd?
Oh shoot, yeah, I
Rock
do.
and roll.
Yeah. Well, like last night we were played in Birmingham, and honestly, like I think we talked about this a little bit before, but I was like, I did not know what to expect. Like I didn't know what the people here were like.
Vibes.
Like sometimes you play shows in certain parts of America, and they're kind of like laid back a little bit. And it's not that they're not like having fun, but they're very like
Reserved.
But last night, some of my guys after, they were like, "You could have crowd surfed. You could have jumped. You could have jumped in, and people would get." And I was like, "Yo, I don't know." Yeah, but yeah, they were. It was crazy. So yeah.
Tonight could be the night, Josiah.
Oh yeah, tonight, dude.
Yeah,
come
we'll
on.
catch you.
You guys come. No, y'all go on stage with me, and we'll jump in. It'll be fun.
Michelle
I've never
will be in the
crowd
front.
surfed. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but we have a lot of fun.
Do you want to talk about that? You've
Yeah.
never crowd surfed. It
Yeah.
sounded a little bit painful.
I've never crowd surfed.
Painful.
Well, it's like I don't know. Like I think I have like a mental barrier there where I'm like, don't jump on somebody. You know what I mean? But then like anytime maybe it's like come up in my brain to do it, I'll just look and there's like an 8-year-old kid like kind of doing there. And you're like, I don't want to like kick this dude in the face. Like I feel he's got a long life to live and stuff.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
I just like that's why I've stayed away from it.
Well, you actually think people are gonna catch you? Have you seen those videos where like
Where they
someone's, like,
don't?
just like when everyone's just like gone out of the way?
Yeah.
drop.
Well, like
Oh.
I've seen people on really big stages, like 10-foot tall stages, and then you
No.
just jump, and you're like, that's a lot of trust.
Is it?
That's a lot of trust. Like
Crazy.
like some people, I don't know. I just don't know if I can trust somebody that much out there. You know what I mean? But maybe tonight, maybe in London.
Yeah.
You said the city of love. Is that what it is?
Well, that's
That's
Paris.
Oh shoot. Maybe in Paris.
But maybe in London.
maybe. I thought
So,
you said this was city.
you never know. London could be called the city of
Yeah.
surfing.
City of crowd surfing.
And that
Wow,
could
that's
be the
powerful.
new
Yeah, that's what's up. New name.
I heard that you to like tell people that you're gonna go out into Europe and the UK. You announced it in a really cool way.
Oh shoot, yeah, I know. We shipped in some candies from over here, and we
Candy?
candy. Yeah, is that what you guys call it?
Sweets,
Chocolate.
chocolate.
Chocolate, sweets. Yeah, we brought some sweets.
Chocolate buttons?
Yeah, we brought some chocolate and stuff from. Yeah, we did like a taste test. All of them passed I liked them. I thought it was good. Like the what's it called? Cadbury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
at
We were literally
Cadbury.
just munching on some Cadbury's for lunch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We did. I had some choc buttons, and it was
Chalk
amazing.
buttons.
Chocolate buttons.
Chocolate buttons.
Dude, I think I might have had those. I liked all of them. The only one I didn't like was licorice, the black licorice.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like legit
Yeah,
spit it
no.
out,
I
like
love
wash my tongue
licorice.
off with like
licorice.
Do you know, it's actually good for you.
the black
There's some
licorice.
health benefits.
The black, not Twizzlers. You know what Twizzler is?
Yeah.
Not that, like the black one.
Ooh.
Yes, licorice.
It's horrible.
It's
I'm
so
with you,
good.
Josiah,
Yeah.
don't know. You know, Birmingham, where you've been staying,
Hmm.
has a big Cadbury factory.
Okay, that makes sense. They had it everywhere.
It's known as the city of Cadbury.
Yeah, we went into a convenience store. Is that what y'all call it?
Yeah.
Yeah, convenience store. Went in there and we just went crazy. We just went and grabbed a bunch of snacks to try. Your guys'
Wow.
Red
You're
Bulls.
wild.
The Red Bulls were like this big. You know
Oh,
what that
little-
is? You know what a
yeah,
Red Bull?
yeah,
Yeah, like a Red Bull. It was like in a small, like, I don't know. We're used to like just the cylindrical cans, but our guys were like, they were in like glass bottles, some of them. And we were just like, yeah.
We've never seen
You
that.
never seen that?
No.
Nice.
I need a witness here. Like that was a thing, right? It was in like a glass.
Maybe it was in your dream. Maybe you're dreaming.
Yeah, well, I didn't buy that one. So luckily, yeah, I mean, it did. It had yeah, it wasn't from Europe. It was like an Asian text or Chinese or something like, yeah.
Wow.
So
Oh,
stayed away from that one. But
yeah,
Did it
maybe
bring
not.
you joy though?
yeah, well, when the small one, I took a couple sips. I'm like, this is like regular Red Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Talking about joy.
yeah,
Yeah, thanks,
Can't-
thanks for sharing all of that, by the way.
yeah,
Thanks for sharing all of that.
Can't
Yeah.
steal my joy.
yeah,
Recent song.
yeah, man. But I did a song with an underground artist. I don't know if you ever heard him. His name is Brandon Lake. Yeah.
No,
Oh, I
never
don't
heard
know.
of it.
Wait,
Yeah, you
well-
should look him up. Give him a look. Listen,
Really?
if you're listening, he's I felt really kind of bad for the guy because he's just trying to make it out here, and
It
it's
was
like,
a pity.
yeah,
guy.
yeah. And his
Yeah,
name
no, I
is,
love
and I
him.
was like, yo, Brendan. At first, I thought it was his name. Then I was like,
Brendan,
oh shoot, no,
wow.
Brandon. He's like, it's actually Brandon Lake, and I was like, oh shoot, okay. And then yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we made a, we were in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, where Mickey Mouse is, and they were doing like a radio conference and with a bunch of like the radio stations. And I met him backstage, and he was like, I want to write a joy bomb. That's what he kept saying, like a joy bomb. I
Wow.
want to write a song about joy. He's like, your music just is filled with so much joy. I want to write joy bombs. Like coming from
Wow.
Brandon Lake, I was
Yes.
like, thanks. Let's go. Right. So
Wow.
I got his number, and then we wrote. We were like writing over text message, like you can like send like a voice
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
like that. So
yeah.
it's like a lot of that, and I got
Aw.
the can't steal my joy, and I sent it to him. He's like, love that, and so we just literally wrote it all over text, and then
Wow.
yeah, we just went up to Nashville or South Carolina where he's from, and we
Wow.
really kind of finished it. And so overall, it's just a really cool experience. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
it live these last couple shows has been a lot of fun. But it's like
love
also
that.
like a worship, like a lot of my music I wouldn't say is like congregational worship music.
Mhm.
Like you wouldn't play it at church, but I feel like that song you could. And so something
Wow.
about that I love. Like I haven't gotten to go into that, So yeah, I'm really excited. I was really excited about that song, and it's cool to being on it with Brandon Lake, and I'm touring with them. Him and Phil Wickham this summer. They're doing like a couple, like
Wow.
I think it's like 8 shows or 12 shows or something in the States, but we're doing like I'm touring with them this summer, so it's gonna be
Come on.
fun. Probably
That's
play it on the
so
road with them.
fun.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's been an awesome experience for sure. So yeah.
Out of because you've also got a new album
Oh shoot, yeah.
Oh wow.
that's just come out.
This is all the information.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
Right to you, right? Yeah, the Prodigal album I released when was that? Like probably like the end of last year. Yeah. Huh?
Mm.
October. Yeah. So kind of yeah, it was I always dreamed about doing an album like growing up, and it always seemed like such like a I don't know, like something that would be far hard to get to, but then like just one song at a time, did a lot of singles because that's kind of like what a lot of musicians do is just release singles. And I released like 6 up to the time or something like that. I'm like, man, I'm like halfway there.
Yeah.
So I just kind of finished it, and and we released it at the end of October. We did it independently. So,
Wow.
just we DistroKid, just upload all these songs,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean? Like it was a really cool experience just being able to I recorded all in a tiny house in Nashville with like, my producer guy.
So
and yeah,
cute.
so it was really fun. You only have a first album once, and
Yeah.
so it was just like it really
Yeah.
exciting. And honestly, that album is like it'll stick with me forever because it's just like you
Love
never
that.
have that experience
Yeah.
ever again.
Yeah.
But yeah,
What's the story like behind
Mhm.
the album? Obviously,
Yeah.
it's called The Prodigal.
I think that like the fun thing about it was like I like didn't like sit down. I was like, I'm gonna write an album with like this is the like the message behind it. But I was writing singles, and I really I love the Bible a lot, and I grew up up until like recently, just because I've been traveling so much. I taught in our Sunday school for like in our kids' church, and we a lot of times they teach like the just Bible stories, like that's what you teach kids. And I always in my mind I'm like, man, these are powerful, so a lot of I knew I wanted to write songs, and people really liked the songs I wrote that were really based in scripture like that. And so I wrote songs, but then specifically I wrote this song called The Prodigal, where I think my heart like for the whole album came out through that, where it's just like in the pre-chorus it was like, I don't want to lose my soul chasing after things that don't lead me straight to you. And it was like, I guess with the idea of like this world is just not my home. Like there's a hymn that I really like, and it's called This World's Not My Home. And I think that the album kind of is based off that idea. Like I don't like money will and fame and nothing will ever actually satisfy the desires of my heart, but the only thing
Yeah.
that will is the presence of God in my life.
Wow.
That's great.
And so it's really a lot about getting into the presence of God and, trading those things in the world that never actually satisfied me
Mm.
and picking up, going after Jesus and being in the presence of the Lord.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I guess that's just really what it became. Like the album kind of
Love
came
that.
up like that. And it really just out of like, that's like my heart behind my music, I
Mm.
believe. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Love that. That's
Yeah.
so good. Like you're saying how you were inspired by like just these stories that like little kids are taught at
Mm.
Bible school or
Mm.
like just at Sunday school.
Mm.
Like tell us a little bit about your story, your background.
Yeah.
Like, did you grow up in a Christian family?
Mm.
Like, where did Josiah start?
Yeah, I started. I grew up. My dad's a youth pastor. Was a youth pastor, and my mom was over our kids ministry. So, grew up in church, and I like loved going to church. Like, I'm not one of those pastors' kids that grew up with like I hated going to church on set. Like, I genuinely loved it, and it's a
great.
lot thanks to my parents. Growing up, they um like I think that some people have really bad experiences with their parents acting one way at church and coming home and acting another way. But my parents, like the one thing, that really meant a lot to me about them was that they would go to church, and they'd be loving, these caring people for other people, and then they'd come home and it would be double that towards
Mm.
for us. And so I don't know, I just always loved going to church and grew up, and my mom was like my kid's church pastor, and then I went to middle school. My dad was over the middle school, high school, and then he became the young adults. So like
Mm.
I grew up in that atmosphere, and I go to the same church I grew up in, still in
Wow.
Florida. So yeah, I think the church has always been like, I started playing music in church. I started at say like my parents kind of forced me into playing piano because I wanted to play drums, but they wanted me to play, piano. So I took piano lessons, and then but then I had this. I was like, I want to play. I went to a young adults conference when I was really little. My parents brought me, and that's when I like really encountered God for the first time in my life. Like I
Wow.
don't know, I didn't like. There's a difference between like going to church and like knowing of Jesus, but then when
Yeah.
you're like, wow, you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like where I felt like I don't know, nobody was praying for me, but I just remember being at this big like young adults conference and just like experiencing the presence of God in my life like more
Wow.
than I've never in my and at such a young age, like 10 or 11, something like that. And so I went home and I was already learning piano, so I started learning worship music and started singing worship songs. And I they taught at this like young adults thing for musicians was to open up the Psalms and like just sing the Psalms and like put your own melody
Mm.
behind it. So
It's great.
that's really how I started writing music, was doing
Mm.
that. And so like yeah, I just love the church, and I think I've always wanted to. It's never in my life that I ever think like I would write music, not Christian music. Like it was
Mm.
always just like I sing because that's what Jesus wants me to do, right?
Mm.
Like he
great.
wants me to sing to him. And so like in my life I've never even thought like maybe I should try to, and nothing against people that do that, but in my life I just
Mm.
never even thought for a second like I should write secular music. I should
Mm.
go to a different,
Yeah.
like it's just like like I grew up in church. This is like the most real thing to me is like Jesus is the most real thing in my life. Like the way that he's like helped me through all these seasons of my life growing up, and it's all I know how to sing about. And so yeah, I mean that's really
Mm.
kind of where I started, and I'm trying to still be at, just a guy that
Mm.
loves his local church, loves writing music about Jesus, like
It's brilliant.
the kids church and stuff like. I mean, like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, So I just yeah, I love doing that, and I just started writing music, and I found a producer when I was like 15, and it was like, it was like $1,000 to do my first song, and I was working as a janitor at a church, and so I was making $8 an hour, 8 pounds. I don't know what the conversion rate is there on that, but $8 an hour, and worked all summer, saved up money, made my first song, and it didn't really do anything like at all. I didn't post on TikTok or nothing, and then met a producer in Nashville, and I started just like my Trinity, my wife, who's off camera right now, and a bunch of people are like, you gotta put it on TikTok, you gotta put it on. I hated social media, but I was
Mm.
like, I'm gonna, you know, I started posting my music on social media, and then that's when everything else kind of started
Wow.
taking off, one song after another. It just kind of stacks up
Mm.
and doing that. And so yeah, then like we were talking about, dropped an album last year. It took a year and a half or so to make, and
Mm.
now I'm in the UK. So
Here
yeah,
you are
yeah, the pin like
in
the
West
top.
London
Yeah,
in
let's
the
go.
Way Studio.
Yeah, man, we made it.
The peak.
We made it. I made it in life. Let's go.
No,
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
it's
For real.
brilliant. I love the fact that the things that you've highlighted as the things that have brought you the most joy and the things that feel the most passionate
Hmm.
in your life
Mm.
is like serving at kids
Hmm.
on kids team and like growing up caring about Jesus and
Mm.
being a pastor's kid who doesn't rebel and loving the fact that you can
Rare.
be a pastor's kid and not
Yeah,
rebel.
that's rare. That's a rare thing.
It is a rare thing. I mean,
Well,
You pointed at Yo.
Oh, no, I'm joking.
Yo,
Ayo,
all right, we need to talk
ayo,
about that now.
ayo.
I want to
Hey.
hear about that.
Go on, give us a therapy session.
It's
Sing
okay.
over us. No joke.
Tell
My
me about your life.
testimony's out if you want to
But
watch it.
no, but it's
I'm not
it's
gonna
really
say it.
encouraging to here's someone who is a creative. Here's
Yeah.
someone who is on tour, got their own name on like the headlines, right?
Yeah.
Josiah Queen, Shepherd's Bush, O2 Mark. Like you see the big name, and yet you're looking in and you're like, wow, where am I really? What do I really care about?
Mm.
It's like the stories that I tell in kids work, the
Mm.
stories that I tell when I'm like
Yeah.
that you read yourself and get moved by yourself.
Yeah.
And there's such lesson even in that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like,
I mean, I think, yeah, like to your point, and I had a moment, and after touring a lot last year, I mean, we did a lot of dates. I went from like literally never playing a show in my life to like 1 year now we're playing like doing all this stuff,
Yeah.
and you know, it was a lot. And then I kind of just had this realization that like, you know, going on stage, it's like so much fun, but it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours of my life, and it's like the most like important thing that I can control around me is my community, you know, and that's like a very lasting thing. And I think it's a very like downplayed thing is like the people in your life. You know, like I think with music, it's very easy to get how many monthly listeners or how many people listen to your music, how many tickets do you sell, or how many. But all that stuff is like, yeah, sure that, you know, you're affecting people in a good way, but it's like, okay, but like how good of a husband am I? How good of a brother am I? How good of a son or, you know, a member of my church? Like that's the stuff that like brings me a lot of fulfillment is like when I am home is that it's like, you know, like that's a very lasting thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, say like, you know, music, this is amazing, but you know, one day I'm going to be 60, you know, but I'll still have, you know,
touring in the UK.
Hopefully
yeah,
still
I'll still be
jamming.
in the
like a
studio,
legacy
we're going to be
act
doing a
here.
podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be at the way just playing with you guys. Yeah. So, but yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. So good.
Yeah, I just wanted to like obviously Jesse made an emphasis how like you were a PK pastor's kid and you didn't like have this rogue phase.
Yeah.
Like he pointed at me at like I
Are
did.
you pastor's kid?
No, I'm not, but
Oh,
I
you
did
went
grow
rough.
up I did grow up in a Christian family, did have a rogue phase. But
Okay, yeah.
like
yeah,
what
yeah.
has that journey been like for you in terms of like Jesus, like your relationship with him from growing up like loving him from a young age to like you know, even that nugget in your heart of like, oh, I would love to write music for you, Lord. Like what has that journey been like?
Yeah, I mean, I think me and my brothers and my sister, if you would ask us, like, what a lot of it was, I think it's partial on a lot of things, but like my mom, I would wake up every morning to go to school, and my mom, I would hear, my room's upstairs and she was downstairs, and I could hear her praying every morning for us, like, you know, what she would do, she would read the Bible, kind of in her way, she would like read a scripture, and she would put our name into it. You know, and so she'd like pray scriptures over us growing up, and so I think that was a huge thing for me. It's just my mom was like had this, you know, so she's a very strong woman, and she's like, you are, you know, my children will serve the, you know, you know, so we were, you know, we were in that, but also it's like, I don't know, I think it's like when you have the realization that like Jesus is like a friend, and that, you know, then that's like it's different because it's like a real friend stays through every season of your life, right? And so it's like, but then some people have the idea that Jesus is like this, you know, like the standard you have to get to. You have to perform. You have to be like, I don't know, you have to like perform and be at a certain level for Jesus to accept you and for you to like, and as much as I want to be like Jesus, I think him being my friend makes me want to be more like Jesus. And, you know, in any season when I mess up or when I'm on the lows or the highs, it's like, you bring your friends, like when you're friends with somebody, you know, you share all those experiences with them. And so I think for me, it was that. It was just like, I genuinely felt like Jesus was like my friend, you know, and he is. And growing up, there was a lot of times where, you know, I did experience like a lot of like some loneliness growing up or anxiety, stuff like that. Like, you know, there was like a season where I was like homeschooled for like a year and a half, and it was mostly just because of like some things at school, and I wasn't the cool kid at school, and so like I was homeschooled for a while. I felt like I had no friends, but like Jesus was my friend. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's just like you're doing life with him, man. You know, and I think that's the fun thing. Me and Trinity talk about all the time. You know, it's like, you know, like our lives are so much more interesting because of Jesus. Like without Jesus, it's like, dude, like even music, I'm just like playing music, bro. Like, you know, it's cool, but it's like, but you're like doing something eternal. Like you're like, there's a room full of people worshiping God in the presence of God. It's like, that's way cooler than singing some songs in karaoke. You know what I mean? Like they can listen to my music at home, but there's like something real in it. And so, yeah, I think for me, it's just my whole life is like, you know, I'm not to say I'm perfect or my relationship with God has been perfect, because it's definitely not. But, you know, I think it's that though. It's a relationship, you know, and I think it's the easiest thing to get closer to God when you experience, like when you have this idea about Jesus, that he's like your friend, you know? And so, yeah. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's amazing meeting people who, from some perspectives, have like made it, right? You've got a headline show tonight in London.
Let's go.
That's awesome. That's like,
yeah, it's fun.
an amazing thing. And yet you just like, wow, no, I just really care about like seeking the Lord. I just, without God in the mix of things, it would feel purposeless. And wow, I get to sow into something eternal.
Yeah.
And that is such a profound message.
Oh, thank you.
One that I'll receive now.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, no, that is such a fresh reminder.
Yeah. And then even the things like the headline shows, it's like, I don't want to act like those things aren't cool. Like, but more, I think it's like more of being like, wow, God, like that's like, look at it. Like what, you know, I did not ever in my mind ever think, like my goal with Trinity, with me, when we were talking before we got married, I was like, dude, I just want to like be able to do this part-time and maybe only have to work a part-time job, and like I'll just be so happy. Or like we were like literally looking up vans or tiny homes, or like if we lived in like a tiny home, we could. So like being here and being able to like just like literally this is what we do. We came to we're here in England. Like I mean, like I don't know, I'm like, God, like that's, you know, I think that's how my perspective should be, is like, wow, God did this. God is the one who opened up these doors, and yeah, he's pretty cool. Like he does really cool things like that, you know? So yeah, man, I'm excited to do the show tonight. It's gonna be fun.
Can I go a little deep?
Yeah, man.
You mentioned a little bit like, oh, you've come through to the point where you've got these perspectives of like, oh man, like I know that it's just about God. Like I'm so chuffed. Like I'm here. It's amazing. Everything's really good. But you kind of touched a little bit about how there was times where you were isolated and alone. And a little bit of my story, which you probably don't know, some of the way people might know, is when I was 14 in school, I became a Christian and basically got severely rejected and was really alone. And I ended up learning to play the piano because I'd spend every lunchtime alone in a music room. And so for me, my new way of expressing like prayers to God was through music.
Wow.
And it was all birthed out of this place of, honestly, rejection. And I just would love to hear, because when you said that, I was like, wow, it feels close to home.
Yeah.
What potentially lessons God taught you in those times, which has got you to this place now, to where you're able to be like, if it's not God, it's nothing.
Yeah.
What was the journey with getting to that point?
Yeah, I think the first thing where I felt like that was, I think I was like, I would say, okay, I was in like 5th grade, and it was in the beginning of my 6th grade year in middle school. So I was in middle school.
What's a grade? Sorry.
Grades?
What's a middle school?
Do you guys not have that? I was like, wait, what do you guys got?
How old are you in 6th grade?
That's year 5.
That's year 5.
Yeah.
Was
It's the equivalent.
Yeah.
Slightly different. I know. It's wild.
So yeah, I'm trying to think now. I'm like, wow. So how old were you in year 5? 12? Yeah, like 12.
Oh no, so maybe it was year 7. Yeah, 10,
7?
12. Yeah.
Yeah, like middle. We call it. So we have like elementary school, and then like 3 years in middle school, and then 4 years in high school, and then you can go to college.
Wow.
Yeah.
And our college is our university.
Universities.
Mm.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was in middle school, or year 6, 7, 5, one of those. Yeah, we'll figure it out later. We'll figure. Yeah. Just imagine it, picture that. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't like I said, I was not a cool kid in school. Like I was the nerd, and I still am kind of a nerd. But
It's good.
yeah, being nerds are cool. But yeah, I was like in chess club, and and in America though, that's not
I
cool.
love chess club.
Yeah, it's cool here maybe, but not in
it's
America.
not.
Okay.
No,
It's just me and the teacher.
Yeah, let's go.
It's like,
Come on, let's go.
Yeah, okay.
Piano and chess.
Sports, guys.
Yeah.
Sports, sports.
Yeah, so I was in chess club, and I had like one friend, and yeah, when I was younger, like he was like my only friend I had, and I remember going to, just it was like a Friday night, and my mom like sat me down. She basically, like, long story short, told me that like that friend got in a car accident and he ended up dying and passing. So I was like, it was very like, and I'm good now, so we don't have to, I'm good. Like, yeah, like it's a long time ago, but it was like very traumatic for me as
Wow.
like when I was younger. So I like couldn't go to school anymore. Like it was just like, and everybody was like loved this guy, but me and him were like best friends, and I don't know, it was just really hard. Like it was like really hard on me. Like as a kid, I've never experienced that in my life, and so like it was so bad I couldn't even go to like his funeral. I just like literally couldn't. Like physically, they couldn't get me there. I just couldn't do it, and so like there was a time in my life I was like, my mom was like, I gotta. So I went online school for like a year and a half. I literally couldn't, like, I don't know. It was just really tough for me to get through that time. But in that time, I would like, like you said, like I learned how to play piano. And that's when that's like the time I felt a lot of comfort in my life.
Yeah, wow.
Like it's just in a time where I was like learning things that like I don't feel like I knew at the time, like that going through that process of like losing someone like that. Yeah, it was like, so I leaned on God a lot in that time. I think it's like it's like, a lot in like, I don't know, you hear people saying marriage. I've only been married 2 years, but like the hard times is what builds a relationship, right? It's not like the good times. And so it's like the hard times in life where you have God by your side, like, and you walk through that with him, you get out of it. It's like, of course you're not going to ever walk away from him, because it's like he's the only person who never walked away from you in the past there.
Yeah.
And, so there's been times in COVID, I think a lot of people went through hard times in COVID. I literally like, it was me. And then me and Trinity, that's when we met my wife, and we did long distance. So she lived like, I mean, like it was a 3-4 hour plane ride to see her if I wanted to see her. So during COVID, it was just me and my dog Buddy.
Buddy.
And yeah, he's a golden doodle. I love that dude. He lives at my parents' house, but I love that dude. Me, Buddy, and then Jesus, like my guitar. I started learning how to play guitar. And I was pretty good at piano at the time, just writing music. And so it's like during those hard times, it's like, I think, where you feel alone, because in COVID, you kind of had to be alone a little bit. It was like, that's where you get closer to God sometimes. And I'm not telling anybody that's listening to like, I think the enemy, I've heard someone say this, what the enemy tries to do is isolate. And so like to pull you away from other believers, like a community of believers is good, but but it's a fact in life, you're going to feel alone. And in those moments, you can go to God and not feel alone. Like there is a person there with you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, those are just a couple of times in my life where I've like, of course I'm not going to walk away from God in my life, because it's like, he never walked away from me. And it's just, he's like a real friend. Why would you leave a real friend? And so, yeah. So, yeah.
Mate, thanks for being like open.
Yeah, man.
I was chatting yesterday with a friend who manages a few artists, and he was telling me like, Jesse, I want you to try and find the story behind the songs for this future project we're working on. And it's like the story behind the songs. And even this simple context to a bit of your history just reveals a whole other side of the lyrics and of the songs and of the cries that have been, that sound beautiful, but are really cries. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's a real honor for people as well, fans of you, like who love your music, who have been impacted in all these different ways, to be able to hear, oh, actually it's birthed out this place of dependence on Jesus. Other than Jesus' closeness that you found in that time, what's maybe a characteristic of God that you also found in those lower moments?
Yeah.
That also influenced how you write.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I always just remember being like, finding that like kind of what I was saying before, like God is so much fun. Like when you go and like when I always found like my favorite so like my parents like lived in like this neighborhood, and in Florida like a lot of people have boats. You go out into the Gulf. And so there was like a little boat ramp by my parents' house, and I would just like sit there. And it was pretty awesome. Like I just like grew a love for nature like out there. And so I loved like rock. We don't have a lot of rocks in Florida, but I loved rock climbing. So I like did that, and we would go to like, Georgia, which is a little north of Florida. But we would, go hiking and stuff. And long story short, I mean, I found in those times it was like, man, like God is not just in like a church service. Like God is like everywhere, and like He made these wonderful, beautiful places in this world. And it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I always felt like I felt closer to God, and like when I would be by the water, or even me and Trinity, I'd say once or twice, or if we're home, sometimes every night we go to the beach that's like 15 minutes from our house, and I mean we just read our Bibles there. I bring my guitar. Like I don't know, I just feel like sometimes closer to God in those like out in the we try to go to, we're trying to hit all the national parks is what we're trying to do before we die. So we did where did we go? We went to Yellowstone, and we went to so we got to do that. And so I think in those times I found like, I don't know, that God's like everywhere, and I found a lot of inspiration in writing music from like just like detaching from everything else, and just like going out into like going out to the wilderness, or going out to the ocean or something like that, So yeah,
it's brilliant.
Yeah, that's honestly, I'm not, obviously I do write my own songs, but I'm not like on a level of
you might
either
have to
of
play
y'all.
some right now. Get a guitar
Go on,
or a piano.
Shelly.
Come on, let's do it.
But it's so cool to like hear where you get your inspiration, and it's literally just like from God. Like you literally just go out with your lovely wife, with your guitar,
or we got our house now. Like I wish I could show you guys a picture right now, because I don't. But like it's like we have like a little deck out from our house. It's like but it's filled. We have like cypress trees, and they're like just all the way around, and they go like 50 feet in the air. And we just like have like benches there, and it's so cool. Like especially this time of year, it's like sitting there. Like that's where I've been writing a lot of my music lately. And yeah, we have these. Trinity really likes. There's these owls that live in these trees, and they like. And when we first moved in this house, like it literally, we were like, she walked in the house. She's like, Josiah, I am not joking. We have monkeys in our trees, and we were like, I was like, we don't have monkeys in Florida. We don't have monkeys. Like I know that we don't have monkeys. But then one night I'm taking the trash out, and I hear, I was like, we have monkeys, and I was like freaked out. I didn't know what to do. And I went online, I looked it up, and yeah, these owls, they make like monkey noises.
No way.
Yeah, like they're called like barrel owls. And so we have them all in our trees. I didn't even notice that in the first like 6 months living here. But yeah, so I don't know. Sometimes we just go out there and like, I always thought like, I don't know, bird watching, but I guess now we do bird watching.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know where we got with monkey owls, but yeah, that's monkey owls. Look it up. You guys got owls in the UK?
Yeah, we do. Barn owls. Other owls.
Snow owls.
Dude, that's sick.
Snow owls.
Like,
do we have snow owls here?
In Scotland.
Do you?
Scotland.
Wow.
Scotland's a place
It's a whole different place, man.
Yeah, it's like Narnia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real.
Is that where they like?
There's some C.S. Lewis stuff up there.
Does anybody know where they filmed it? Where they filmed Narnia?
Narnia.
Narnia.
Then they made a movie, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere around here.
She's rolling her eyes at me. Yeah, I've watched it, and I read the books actually. So.
Oh, that's
I read the books growing up.
Yeah.
My dad used to read them to me.
Yeah.
When I was like 6 or
Were you allowed to read Harry Potter or not?
No.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't.
No.
All right, yeah. We can wait. Cut this part out. I'm not even allowed to say it on the podcast.
Wait, have you watched it?
Nah. No, but I just seen it like walking around London. I'm like, they have like the stores and stuff.
So have you watched Harry Potter? Oh.
Put the stones down.
Put the stones down. I'm gonna just do the rest of the podcast
like
all right,
this. So what else you want to?
So Josiah,
we're not talking to her anymore.
How's it going?
Yeah, sorry.
Is it like based in London? Is Harry Potter based in London or?
Well, she actually wrote her books. J.K. Rowling.
In London? Did she?
She wrote them in Edinburgh.
Oh.
In a cafe called the
Edinburgh
Elephant
Advocate.
Cafe.
Is that around here?
No, it's in Edinburgh, Scotland.
She keeps bringing it back to Scotland.
Oh, Scotland. Scotland this.
Scotland.
Let's go.
Scotland this. Scotland that.
I swear I thought it was in England.
Are you kidding me?
No. It's in
No,
Scotland.
sadly not. There are a few
Okay.
scenes in England though. King's Cross. There's a scene apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously, I would never watch it.
Yeah. Never. Don't. We do not endorse that type of behavior.
Okay, maybe cut this stuff
absolutely
out.
We should put like a warning screen right before it's like,
Yeah.
It's so cool to hear like where you get your inspiration, where like the heart behind your songs and all of that. Like, what does your process look like now? Because I'm sure like when you were younger and you just sat at your keys, like, or with your guitar, like you were probably, you know, writing differently to how you're writing now. Like, what's that journey been like?
I mean, honestly, it's like, I'd say it's my biggest tool is like, you know, the voice memos app on your phone.
I do.
Yeah. So like, I just like, I have that on like the fast button on your phone. You know what I mean? You say
Whoa.
boom. But honestly, it's that like, I think it's like, my method is like to kind of just throw whatever at the wall, record something. So I'll like last night before the show, I grabbed my guitar and I got a melody that I really liked. Like, not necessarily had words that I felt like, I don't know, like it didn't mean anything. Like, it literally was just gibberish with like melody, but I just recorded it on my phone. I'm like, maybe I'll use that later. And so like sometimes, so you do that. So then the times where you're not like inspired by something, you can like just sit there and like, all right, like I have something I want to say, but I don't really know, have like a melody or a chord progression I want to do. And then you can go back, oh shoot, I have this. Okay. And then you can kind of put the two together.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Or you can write with friends. I have a couple guys that I know that I write music with, or sometimes I'll like text these ideas to.
Braden Lake.
Yeah, Brandon Lake, underground artist like
Did you
him.
say Braden?
Yeah.
Braden Lake,
Braden
Lake, I
Braden
think Braden-
Pond, but, yeah, something like that. No, yeah,
So hope he doesn't see
yeah,
this.
not yeah. Friends kind
Maybe
of
on
like
a podcast. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, we
Brandon,
are.
please wait.
I think
Put the
we're
camera
having
on
him
me.
later this year, aren't we?
Brandon, please come on the podcast.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, you're
He's doing
welcome.
the
I
hard
give a
work.
shout. Yeah.
He's
Shout
doing the
out.
hard work.
On a deeper note, I was just gonna
Yeah.
ask, like, from obviously the Prodigal album, is there like a song that you really feel like is special to you because it's come from like a deeper place,
Yeah.
rather than like, I'm sure. I mean, all of
Ooh,
your songs.
No,
are,
no,
but-
I know what you mean. Like, and it's like, especially with our music, like the songs kind of feel like I don't know, like your children in some way. You're like, oh my life, you know, like I really cared about every song I wrote, and that's one thing I'm really proud about the album. I didn't like just record a song just to do it. Like, I actually was like, but man, I think I always said like my favorite song in the album was a song called "I Am Barabbas" I wrote. It's like the first song I wrote in the album, and it for me, it just had so many memories with like being nervous to post on TikTok, and I did it, and I posted a song, and like I remember waking up on like Easter morning. The song was at like 2 million, 3 million views on TikTok, and I was like, first time I've ever had a video go above a couple thousand views, and I'm like, what? You know, so in that moment, that was like, and more than that also, it's just like, it's I always love the storytelling and stuff, and it's just me and a guitar, and it's about like, you know, the story of Barabbas, but being in his shoes, and you know, with the reality of like, I am Barabbas, you know, and I don't know, like, so it's just like picturing that was very powerful. Like the third verse for me meant a lot. Like he said, they made me sit right there and watch as they beat that preacher man. 39 of all them lashes should have been on my own skin. And like when I just imagined that, it just became like so real to me. Like, and so I don't know, it's like one of my favorite songs to play live, because we normally do like a salvation call or like something after that song, just because that it means so much. And I think honestly, like that's the coolest thing that could happen at a concert and that I do. So I'd say that one means a lot. But as far as like, yeah, I would say that one means a lot to me. But you know, they all mean something to me. I like my song "My Promised Land" means a lot to me, because it was going through a time like, you know, like all this was happening, and it's about kind of the story about, you know, like Moses, where he stands on the mountain and he looks over and sees the promised land, and God's like, you know, I could give you this land, you can go to this land, but I just won't go with you. And he's like, you know, and he's like, all of your dreams, right? And so I just like read that story, and I was like, it's like, man, I have like, literally, I'm like on that mountain, I see all the things I ever wanted like to do with my music. I'm like, man, like, but then I was just like, had this realization, like, God, I don't want to do that if you don't go with me. And when I had that revelation, it was like, I don't, like, all these dreams, they can never love you as much as God will love you.
Wow.
And so that song was very powerful for me, because I was like on the label meetings and all these meetings to do like, you know, booking agencies, and you know, there's all these things that come with it. And I'm like, God, I don't want to make a single decision, make a single step forward unless you're like I'll go with you. Or like, I'll go with you to the UK, you know? I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No,
But he did.
well, here
He's
you
here.
are.
He's here. So
Amen.
yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. So that's, I'd say those songs specifically, if I were to highlight too, I would say mean a lot to me, but you know.
It sounds like through your story,
Mm.
you had to make a few choices which felt quite bold, quite scary. Like even you saying like, "Oh man, like I had to choose to post on TikTok, that horrible app."
Yeah, it's
But like,
scary, man.
And I think particularly as young creatives, there's lots of people doing it that you see all the time on social media. Even yourself as one of those people, it's like people could look and see Josiah Queen like doing awesome things, like writing amazing songs, and it's almost hard to know where you fit in a world that feels very overpopulated. And so when I chat to young creatives, a lot of the time they feel quite, I don't know, almost a little fatigued with trying to step out.
Yeah.
And a little tired of that and a little lost on where their place is. And I guess maybe almost an encouragement to the creatives, to the songwriters, to the artists. You 5 years ago, 10 years ago, like looking back, what's some wisdom or advice that you've now got that you would speak?
I mean, when you were saying that, I think the one thing I was even thinking about this before we did podcast. I was like, there's one thing that I would want to say is that honestly, it's that comparison is like what kills all creativity like that. You know, like if I sit, and that's in my music, I'm not gonna act like I've never tried like compared myself. Like it's something that I think as artists or as anything, it's like you try to you can compare yourself in numbers or streams or songs or likes or views, and if you get into that, you'll never be happy. Like that's the thing. Like it's just like, especially music, it's like you go and sell out a huge room in a show, all the people people just, it is a business at the end of the day, and people are like, okay, what's the next thing we can do? What's the biggest thing else we could go to? Well, this person did this much, you know what I mean? Or when you do music, it's like how many, oh, you got this many views, that's cool, but this person got this, you know what I mean? If you go and compare yourself, and that was the hardest thing for me, is like, to go and like, is to compare myself with the numbers and the likes and stuff, and that stuff drains you, because it's like, it's like that, like, I don't know, where they hang the carrot in front of like the horse or whatever, and the horse, and you're always just going after it, but you actually never can get it. That's how it feels. And so I think for me, the love of writing music, like at the end of the day, I love writing music. I've read books about how to write music. I listen to podcasts like this on how to write music, and of how to do Christian music, and like I just love writing music. And so I think it's like, if they, whoever's listening, if you have like something that you want to do and do it unto the Lord, it's like, do it because you love it, like, and do it unto God, not do it, and compare yourself. But also, one of the best, most beneficial things in my career is like, when I was starting doing it, I mean, really, I didn't do anything crazy different. I just made my own song, and I saw, okay, look, there's these other guys that are doing this and in this format, and they say it like this, and and I feel like it's kind of a thing in social media, is like, you can go and like, everybody copies each other in some way. I'm not saying like just go and rip something, like, but somebody shows a song in this certain way, I'm like, oh, but they probably got it from somebody else. And I think it's like if you look at it more as like a community of people that are like, they all have the same kind of goals, and so I kind of fed from that. Like I was like, oh, like like, for example, like Forrest Frank, like when I first started, I saw the type of videos he was posting, and he was blowing up, and I was just like, okay, like if I could just kind of do like a similar thing, or seeing somebody post like their song, I can do that. Like it almost, you, instead of comparing, be like, well, they did it, so maybe I can too. And I think that's what I would want anybody to hear from what I'm doing, is that like, oh, he did it, so I can do it too. You know what I mean? It's attainable. It's definitely reachable. So
thank you so much, Josiah. Like, it's been incredible to hear your story and to hear what you're like up to now, and what God has done and doing and continuing to do for your life. And it's super exciting that we get to have you on here, and your gig tonight.
Let's go. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. It's been so much fun.
Ready to see the crowd surf, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh,
come on,
please.
we're doing it. I'll do it. Don't make me. Don't make me. So.
I'll be there to catch.
Let's go.
We'll just be there like this.
Let's go.
But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and for watching and I mean listening in from wherever you're listening in, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is. But give us a little comment down below what you guys think about Josiah. Check him out. But yeah, thank you so much.
Let's go. Yeah, thank you for having me. See you guys.
See you guys
See you
later.
soon.
Bye.